Hi, I'm Beth. Welcome to V.I.P Yoga, which stands for Variations for Individualized Practice. So this will be a short tutorial type video that will focus on a single yoga pose. And this video will focus on Virabhadrasana 3 or Warrior 3 pose. It's a balancing pose, and we're going to show many different ways to do that. The purpose of this kind of work is functional yoga, and functional yoga means adapting the pose to your body rather than the other way around. So to do this, we'll be using lots of props. Today I have set up blocks, a strap, the wall, a chair. You might want other props, and that's fine if that's what works for your body. So let's get started. Join me over by the mat. So as we go through these, I'll show many different variations of the pose. These aren't every single variation, and some of them can be combined, and you'll see that as we go through the poses. I'm going to start with what you might think of as the traditional version of Warrior 3, just meaning how it's usually shown in books or taught in classes. I'm going to turn toward the side. I'm going to start with my right leg being my balance foot, so I'll slide my left foot out a little behind me. And I'll be hinging from the hip because we want to make kind of a T shape with our body. So I'm going to soften my front knee, start to hinge, placing the weight on my front leg as I start to unweight the back leg, pointing the foot toward the ground, pressing the heel out behind me, sending the leg as long as possible, and then I can reach my arms in the opposite direction. And that is Warrior 3. Now, if that stand hinge motion doesn't feel like a good way to get into the pose for you, you can also come down to a low lunge. Allow your hands to rest on your front thigh, tuck your back toes, same forward lean with that deep hip hinge, and then start to push into the front foot as you lift the back knee, leaning a lot over the front leg, and then slowly begin straightening the leg. You can keep your hands right on your front thigh for support as you lift up into the pose. And so that already forms the first variation that we can do, which is varying our arms in the posture. Our bodies allow us, even without props, to adapt the pose to fit. So I'm going to come back up, and I'll show you a few different arm variations. So we started off with the traditional. You might think of this as like the superhero version. And I might lose my balance doing this pose a lot. That's fine. So we have this sort of superhero version. We can have our arms out in a V, or cactus arms. We can spread them out to the side. That's more the airplane version. Send them back toward the hips. And sometimes we can increase a sense of stability by having the hands at heart center or right on the hips. Coming down. So remember, those aren't every single arm variation. It's just an idea of what you can do to figure out what feels good in your body. That's functional yoga. All right, I'm going to pick up my strap, and we'll be doing some variations using the strap and the wall that you can kind of mix and match in these. All right, so one option that I really love is to put the strap around the heel of the back foot. I'm going to switch around, give my one leg a break, turn around this way. So the strap goes here, and then you have to take the inside part of the strap and just weave it inside your leg so you can take that leg behind you. You want to pull on the strap as you lift your leg. It sounds complicated, but it can actually make it easier to float up the back leg. I say easier as I lose my balance. And again, remember, the goal is just to find the variation that works for you. And then you can keep pulling on the arm, pulling on the leg. And here's where the wall can really come in handy. I was losing my balance. I can hold this with one hand and use the wall to help stabilize this posture a little bit. I'm still getting all the strength work in the bottom leg. So I'll come down from that. And we could do something similar with the back foot on the wall, and I can use the strap to stabilize my arms a little bit. I'm actually going to fold my strap in half. I'll step up, move my blocks out of the way. We'll use them in just a bit. And so to do this version, you might want to slide your heel to the wall, toes on the floor, bend into your front leg, begin leaning forward as you slide your foot up, and I found I had to go a little further away. Now, that's another variation we could do is your foot does not have to be parallel to the floor. So I could play with it about, 45 degrees here, push my foot into the wall, work toward getting my legs straight, and this is a perfectly fine version of Warrior 3. There's a lot of work going into this version, believe me. So it doesn't have to look like what I said that traditional book version of the pose often looks like. All right, let's show that on the other side, and I'll come down a little bit more to a T shape using the strap. I'm gonna have to step forward just a little bit. Find the wall behind me, and then I can really just push-pull using these props, pushing my foot into the wall, pulling away with the strap. This feels like a pretty stable version of the pose for me. I'm not gonna be able to hold it forever, but I could hold that version longer. Okay, one other way that you can use the strap is, well, I showed you just for the one foot instead of having both hands, just the one hand. You can adjust that. All right, I'll put the strap aside, and I will show you the chair. The chair is an excellent prop that, again, we can use in a wide variety of ways. So the first way we can use it is the same way we use the wall, except instead of pressing the heel flat against the chair, just the toes will be on the chair. I'm going to put my toes on the chair. Might have to shimmy. That's one of my favorite little yoga instructions, or scooch. I can more easily, for me, straighten the leg this way as I push my heel out behind me, and that momentum allows me to lean forward. And this feels like a really nice stretch here. Then I can also come around the other way. If my foot feels stable, but it's my upper body that I'm struggling with, I can come to the chair, start to fold forward so that my hands come. This is sort of like down dog arms. My hands come onto the back of the chair. And then I raise the back foot. And maybe I start, you might find it's harder to do on the back of the chair or it's harder to do on the seat. Try it for yourself and see which version is more accessible for your body. So I can also try it with my arms on the seat, my hands on the seat. I can do a forearm version. And I can come down this way. And remember, we can combine any version. So I could do that with my hands, arms on the chair, and my foot on the wall. Or the next thing we're going to add is the blocks. So for the blocks, I use them under my front body. And remember that we can do the back body the same way. So I'm going to hinge down. I think I'm close enough to the chair here. Hinge down and reach for the blocks on the high position. And then nice, I can just put my toes right on the chair. And once you get to a shape like this with props, the props allow you to experiment with your own next level. So then I can play with lifting my foot up and seeing how that feels stable. I can lift one arm away. This is kind of a standing bird dog version. But really they're all Warrior 3 or lead up to Warrior 3. And then I can flip that around. I can go around and have my hands on the chair, my foot on the block, and keep my leg nice and low. If right now I really want to work on lengthening the upper body, I can work on lengthening the upper body and keeping the lower body low. My front knee is soft. My back leg is a little bit elevated, but stable, and I can play with elevating that a little bit more. All right, move some of these things out of the way, and I'm going to come down to kneeling. I know I'm moving through these things fast. This isn't really a follow-along video. It's here's all your options. Go try these on your own. That's my goal for these videos. So we're going to come down to hands and knees. This is a little bit different. This will be bird dog. It's another way to build your body up to Warrior 3. So you can think of this as a Warrior 3 pre, a level 1 Warrior 3. However you want to think of it, it's fine to do this version. So hands are nice and stable. Fingers are wide, so I can see my mat under my fingers. My lower belly is activated, so those muscles, those transverse abdominal muscles are lengthening and also engaging. Same things we did standing, we can do with props or without. So without, I'll extend one leg behind me. pressing my heel away from me, pointing the toes down, and I'm balancing, but this certainly does feel easier to me than doing the standing version. And then I can make it more challenging for myself, more challenging for my core, and reach the arm ahead, reach one arm, the opposite arm, out in front. Or again, remember, you can do V, you can do cactus. So all of these arm positions are still doing a lot of challenge for my core and also making me work to keep my balance, especially if I move my arm through space, I have to work even more for my balance. I might also try planting my foot, then I can really work on getting the length in my leg and seeing if I can reach, longer with my mid body, longer with my torso as I'm lying down. All right, so we have, I think, one more version to do, or one more version that I'm going to show you today. You can always try more things on your own. Once you learn how to use props and how to start adapting poses to your body, it does become a little bit more intuitive and you feel more comfortable starting to play around on your own, which I think, to me, is advanced yoga. Slide my chair out of the way. Gonna come to lying. I love finish with lying because sometimes, being on your knees, being standing, it just doesn't feel like where you are today. Even if you're like, yeah, I can rock Warrior 3, just not today. So let's come down to our lying position and take our strap once more. Make sure you have room behind you overhead. I might have to slide a little bit down. So this is another posture that's not going to look exactly like Warrior 3, but it's a great way to get your body used to the shape. So I'm going to take my arms up and overhead, and this is like the Superman arms version, except obviously we're facing up instead of facing down. And I'm going to take one leg and lift it up. So notice my body is in that T shape, it's just upside down. I'm not fighting gravity, and I'm still working to keep my leg as long as I can, soft bend in the knee so it's not locked, pushing my foot toward the floor. Toward the ceiling this time. This is the foot that would support you on the floor if you were on the floor. So you can pretend that's the floor. Get that action with your legs. Pull with your arms. Feel as much length as you can in your torso. And feel this nice upside down Warrior 3. And release. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that overview of many different ways that you can perform Warrior 3 in your body. Keep adapting the poses. If you want to try this with some other poses, check out my whole library of V.I.P yoga series, and you'll have many different poses to try. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day.